Good afternoon and welcome to Libertarian Counterpoint Podcast. We are here today on November 20th of 2020, still going through some crazy election fallout and COVID lockdowns, and I don't know if there's any more riots going on. They seem to be dying down. But anyways, let's introduce you to our panel, and then we'll dive into some of the topics. So up in our left-hand corner, we have our Screaming Eagle of Freedom, Tim Evert, pilot in the state of California. And up in our right-hand corner, we have Leon the Word Brathwaite, Last Word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state. And my name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. And let's jump right into the topics. So we are going through, it sounds like, a new wave of COVID lockdowns just as we hit the holidays, which is pretty distressing for a lot of people, especially a lot of people who live in certain blue states where governors are essentially telling people all kinds of very specific and constraining rules to different family events, I guess. So, I mean, they're really diving into the household now with some of this stuff. I guess the governors in California, Washington, Oregon, and I think quite a few other places. And some of these, they carry criminal penalties as well, I believe, like misdemeanor penalties. And but they're doing things such as telling you how many families can come to your house, maybe that you have to have the event outdoors, and of course, Thanksgiving is normally a day of family get-togethers and, big meals. And in California, Newsom has also advised people to put your mask on in between bites as well, which should be interesting for most people's culinary habits. Anyways, this is, part of the New World Order, I guess. What do you guys think about some of this stuff?
We are in serious danger of losing our liberties here in the United States. It is unbelievable. The government is now reaching into our homes and telling us what we should or should not do inside our homes. And there is no science to back any of this up. The schools are locked down, businesses are closed, and all these other things are going on. And there's no science, especially on the schools for our children. There's no science to back it up. Everybody, New York City, which is the largest school district in the nation, have totally locked down. The schools have been locked down. We don't know when they're going to be reopened, and they do not have 1 ounce of science that supports the contention that schools are spreaders of this virus. But yet the schools are locked down. Our kids are not learning. We are destroying the future of our children, and we are destroying the livelihoods of the people that feed those children. And we call all of this in the name of protecting us from this infection, from this COVID virus. God help us. We are losing our liberties, and if we don't do something about it, it will be lost forever.
Yeah, I can't agree more. There is evidence that there's no reason to lock schools down, especially when the kids have something like a 99.9 something or other percentage rate of surviving when they do get the virus, and then even the teachers are at a lower risk. Many of them in that younger age category that is got this extremely high survival rate, even if you get the virus. So, yeah, and then the stuff in the house. Yeah, that's here's I guess if you have something against one of your neighbors, you could always make a phone call to the police department, without them knowing who you are, anonymously, and tell them that you just saw a bunch of cars roll up and a bunch of people go into the house, and they must be doing something like eating dinner in there, or something right. equally horrible. And so.
And no burning down the house, no throwing rocks through windows, just eating dinner.
Just dinner, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said, suspiciously absent are the riots. I don't get it. I thought that when the election was over, we were going to have riots, no matter who won, no matter who. We're going to have riots. The scuttlebutt was that if Trump wins, the left will riot, and if Biden wins, the right. Those horrible militia, those white supremacist militia members were going to go riot if Biden won. And so I don't know if everybody's just biding their time to biding their time to decide whether they should riot or not. I'm not sure, but it's suspiciously as if the right doesn't have a tendency to riot as much as does the left in those mostly peaceful protests, that they are quite adept at. I guess, in a war, 90% of the time shots aren't being fired, but the 10% where they are, I guess, can be dangerous. So likewise with the rioters.
Well, Tim, anyway. we may be biding our time for 4 more years potentially.
Yeah, it might be.
If Biden makes it that long. but one of the things, though, you did say no riots, and there was one thing recently, and that was, I guess Trump had a Million MAGA march that went in several, I think it was in
Washington, D.C. was the main one, yes.
And there was a few other cities. And as far as I understand, they weren't, those people weren't rioting. They were, singing the national anthem and other things like that, with people all over the street. But apparently, as the lights went out and it got dark, the usual suspects showed up in the rioting. And and there was some violence, and I think at least one stabbing in one place. Some people got, into fights and other things like that. But it's usually the violence seems to happen when those guys in black show up. I guess the Antifa crowd.
Those mostly peaceful protesters showed up, and then we had a riot. That thing in Washington D.C. went fine all day. Okay, people out there, they were singing national anthem, blah blah blah. For the most part, it went fine. But the mostly peaceful protesters showed up, and then we had a problem. People got stabbed, people got bottles thrown at them, and all sorts of things happened as soon as the mostly peaceful protesters showed up. Yep. What a wonderful thing! What a wonderful country we live in.
Yeah. Well, and so this wonderful dystopian nightmare where especially Democratic governors are trying to go into our houses now. Not good enough, this whole the mask mandate and the shutdowns of businesses, all of which, like Leon says, he didn't mention that. He was talking about the schools, but at least the business shutdowns, maybe you could maybe make a case for shutting down a restaurant where a bunch of old people go, I guess. But for the most part, this stuff has been going on with just reckless abandon. So here we are. It's just not good enough. Why? Because the virus is just going to spread. I mean, it just is. It doesn't matter when you integrate mass mandates or shutdowns. It's going to spread. The stuff is got a mind of its own, and it's going to do what it wants to do. And it doesn't matter if, because the other things didn't work, and now the virus is back. They have to go deeper into our homes now to spread more tyranny, as if that's going to do anything. And then that's not going to work. Yeah, I guess after that doesn't work, what's next? I suppose they could just lock us all up. I mean, just make giant compounds and just throw us all in jail, and see how that works.
Yeah, the next step is they're going to tell us when to take a shit. Oh God, sorry. I can't say that anymore. I'm sorry. The next step is they're going to tell us exactly when we can go to use the bathroom. Okay, my apologies. But
there will be a police too.
You better sanitize that bathroom when you're finished.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Otherwise, they may come after me.
Well, because one of the articles, sorry, Jason, one of the articles said that people could do everything outside, but they could go inside to use the bathroom. However, it has to be sanitized after using the bathroom. So already, Leon, they're telling us not particularly when, but how to go to the bathroom. Yeah. So we're not that far off.
Yeah, it's the miracle of government, that we've come so far with public ed that now, we need government to tell us how to go to the bathroom, apparently, and how to eat our meals. It's funny that there's a meme going around recently I've seen on the internet, and it says, back in my day, it was, talking about 30, 40 years ago, the instruction manual on a truck, told you how to, change the coolant, and today the instruction manual tells you not to drink the coolant. That's kind of the type of the world we evolved into. But there's a point I wanted to make about all this shutdown stuff too. My daughter was just telling me an observation the other day. She was talking about the singing the national anthem. And how
old is your daughter, by the way?
She's 14. But she's kind of aware of some of the politics now going around. But one of the things is how the song ends. The land of the free and the home of the brave, and it's pretty apparent now that we are neither free nor brave. We've had essentially a disease that is maybe around a 1% kill rate on the entire population, roughly. And we've completely given up our freedom. Literally, there's been no discussion about liberty. We've literally just let the government come in, tell us exactly what we're going to do, tell us, how we're going to eat, tell us who we're going to eat with, and all that. And apparently, however, if you are in leadership, those rules don't apply to you.
Right.
Nice segue.
He was apparently caught at a birthday party after telling everybody about all these different rules for eating with your family and how meals need to be constrained and you shouldn't be having, family members at your, more than a certain amount of family members at your meal. Suddenly he was caught at a fancy restaurant, indoors, with pictures of him and lobbyists sitting around, I guess his family, having a birthday party for one of his advisors, I believe. And
it's for a lobbyist.
For a lobbyist. Okay. And the point is, and so he had to come out and make a very public apology for this. And at least to his credit, he actually gave an apology. Unlike some of these other leaders in other states, they get caught. Like Lori Lightfoot, with her hair salon visit, after she banned hair salon visits in Chicago, and then she said, when we caught, it's not I'm sorry, but it's, hey, I need to look good for the public. To be honest, I think that may be beyond those salons, but regardless.
Whoa, Jason, whoa.
She would be acting a lot, but
well, they do say that Washington is Hollywood for the ugly.
Oh yeah, I can believe that. But this stench of hypocrisy is nauseating. Okay, even before this thing with Gavin Newsom and the party, Gavin Newsom has another ongoing hypocrisy that's going on. He and all the leaders in California are locking down the schools, but Gavin Newsom had his kids going to private school, getting in-person learning. So his kids could get the in-person learning that is so badly needed for all our kids. But the rest of society, no, they're not good enough to get that. They have to take the remote learning where they are not learning anything. These are the hypocrisy of these people. We have the governor of Michigan. Her husband was trying to do something over Memorial Day weekend, and even called the governor's name. Oh, I'm the husband of the governor. Does that make a difference? The governor of New Mexico, she asked a jewelry store to open. So you know what she needed? So essentially, she needed some jewelry. She needed to look beautiful, I guess, for her constituents. Nancy Pelosi was in San Francisco. She had to get her hair blown out. That was so essential. Dianne Feinstein walked around all over the place. We have 2 photos of her now walking around without a mask. And these are the people that want to pass rules for the rest of us. Not only pass rules for us when you're outside, pass rules for us when we're in our own homes. This is what is going on right now. So the stench of hypocrisy is nauseating while our freedoms and liberties are being destroyed.
Wow. I like that sentence. The stench of hypocrisy is nauseating while our freedoms are being destroyed. That's why Leon gets the last word, because dang, that was a great sentence. I love it.
Yeah,
I can't add to it either. It's
well,
so typically maddening. But anyway, what can I say?
well, with the thing that gets, giving Leon the last word on this, but how do we pay for all this hypocrisy? I mean, this hypocrisy does not come free of charge. And, right now, a lot of states and municipalities are finding that they have no revenue base, or a very diminished revenue base. They're going to have to start ending a lot of services. There's a lot of people out of work. There's, potential bailouts on the way, because who knows what the politics of that are going to be in the future. But even if there's a bailout, the bailout is just essentially funny money from the federal government, because states can't print, but the federal government can. And so among some of the proposals recently, there was a proposal by Deutsche Bank, apparently. I don't know why they particularly threw this out there, whatever, but they were thinking that, so many of you people who've been condemned to your homes but are still working, you're getting a lot of benefits. And since you're getting so many benefits, we think we should tax those benefits. Tax the privilege of you being locked in your home to work. So they apparently want to propose a 5% tax on telecommuting workers, as a way to help offset. And apparently it's supposed to help pay for the people who have been displaced in jobs because of all this, people who no longer have a business or a job because of these government edicts. So really, it's just one distortion after another. The government gets
we did it with the lamplighters and the buggy whip makers and the blacksmiths. We did it for them. We taxed the car manufacturers and paid all those people that were displaced that used to have their whole livelihood surrounded. Their livelihoods was surrounded by the use of the horse and the buggy and having what about what we did for those poor whalers when electricity was invented? What did we do? We taxed the electricity producers and we gave it to those people that were displaced in the whaling industry, right? Isn't that exactly what we did?
Yeah, forever unemployment for whalers,
This is the typical garbage that the government always does, They force us to stay home. Well, I would have been home anyway because I'm retired, which I want to remind everybody of. But they force us to stay home with their ridiculous laws. And now that people who are working, staying home and working, we're going to tax them for staying home after the government goes.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the ridiculousness that's going on. The garbage of these people and their mentality that is running our society today.
Yeah.
Well, luckily it's in Europe that they're talking about this, but of course, as soon as any government gets wind of this kind of nonsense, boy, they all just, they're like flies on excrement.
Yes.
Notice,
Leon. You didn't want to use my vernacular.
Only because you used it first, and you should always have the last bad word in liberty as well as.
Well, Tim,
even if it's a bad word.
Come on, man! I was going to give you the last word on this, man. I was going to give it to you.
Well, as far as getting the last word, there was another story recently in the news as well, and apparently ACLU now apparently has kind of changed some of their direction, and they apparently want to be in the business of deciding who has any word on a subject. They apparently are promoting ideas of things like book banning and book burning. Apparently, there was a woman, I can't remember her name specifically, but she wrote a book on the effects of transgenderism, or the epidemic, I guess, of many girls believing that they are transgender when they likely aren't. They maybe just be going through a phase and as they're growing up. And so she wrote a book kind of documenting what she thought the harm of this was. And regardless, one way or the other, of how you feel about this issue, it's somebody's opinion on the issue. And they were writing a book. And so apparently, I think Target banned the book from its bookshelf stores, I think it was. And there was a little bit of debate back and forth. I'm not sure if they're allowing her to sell it now, but somebody.
Yes, they did. They reversed the decision. But the fact that they made the decision is what at issue here.
Yeah, and that's Target, and so whatever the issues are, they feel whatever business decision is right in their end. That's also their right as a business as well. But the idea that somebody at the ACLU would come out on this and say that this book should be either banned or bought and burned, or taken and burned. I can't even remember if she said you should buy it. Some of these people nowadays, they just grab stuff and burn it.
She said stolen. It's what said stolen and burned. That's what it said.
Okay, so that's what it was. It's just absolutely appalling. I mean, the ACLU is not apparently a voice of just civil liberties anymore. They literally have taken a side and decide, that only certain liberties are important. And they're the ones that appeal to one political group, and that's their view apparently now. And I think that's pretty disturbing. I don't know, what do you guys have any thoughts on?
It is very disturbing, Jason. And when you look at the transformation of the ACLU, you can see how disturbing this is. In the 1960s, I believe it was, the ACLU was defending the neo-Nazis because they were trying to march in Stokey, Illinois. They took the case to court and won. For the most part, there were some parts that they did not win on. But this was the ACLU doing this, defending free speech, even though it was from the most despicable part of society, which was the neo-Nazis. And now we have the ACLU, the same ACLU, well, I guess it's the next generation of the ACLU, now advocating to ban speech, to burn books, that ideas should not be discussed and debated in our society anymore. Now they will tell us what we should believe, or maybe the government should tell us what we should believe. We must be in Nazi Germany or maybe in the Soviet Union, both of which don't exist anymore. But that's where we are going when we allow these people to so entrench themselves into our lives, into society. And you've seen it all over, whether it's in the media, whether it's on our campuses, colleges, all over. This left-wing ideology is taking hold. And we better do something about this.
I'm smelling a lot of that stench of hypocrisy out there with that ACLU. I mean, it's supposed to be all about civil liberties, except, when it comes to the civil liberties of somebody that I happen to disagree with, in that case, your civil liberties stop right now. Yeah, if I wrote a book, I would expect that if it was targeted for some kind of censorship from the ACLU or anybody, it'd probably be a feather in my cap. I'd probably sell 10 or 20% more books than I would normally. And if somebody's going to buy my book, and as being a libertarian, and I'm okay with private property rights, more than okay, then they have the right to burn their own product. And once they bought it from me, I got the money. So there you go, and so have at it. But no, it's just crazy. It's just craziness. Again, dystopia on display.
Yes.
Well, speaking of craziness, that sound means it's time for our Knucklehead Noise Patrol, where we find some crazy noise from somewhere out there that's left a politician's mouth usually, and we kind of parse it and have a little fun with it at the end of the show. One of the things that has been in the news a little bit lately, and the Democrats seem to be pushing it, is forgiving college debt. And they've talked about this prior to the election some, but it seems to be popping up quite a bit now as part of Biden's plan going forward. And AOC was recently quoted on this, and she said, as quote, "Things were bad for me, so they should stay bad for everyone else," in quotations, is not a good argument against debt cancellation, student, medical, or otherwise. And so, it just seems to be more of the kind of insanity of the left. It's not about, people wanting to punish other people. It's about the fact that you don't have the right to just say, "Hey, I'm having a tough time, so I'm going to take something from you," right? I mean, if somebody else went through and they paid their own way, if they want to donate their money to somebody, that's absolutely fine. But I mean, the idea that she doesn't, people like her just seem to think that they have a right to everybody's stuff for whatever particular, inequity that she thinks is occurring. I don't know if you guys want to jump in on this or not.
What that means. Sorry, Leon. What that means is it's not forgiving college debt. It's transferring the payment from the person that got the college education to the rest of the taxpayers. It's just transferism. That's all it is. Is they're going to pay it. It's not like it's like, oh, we're just going to cancel that. No, it's we're gonna put that burden on people that never got the good stuff, if they got anything good from it. That's doubtful, but anyway, the good stuff from the education. No, it doesn't go to those people that and they're the ones that got into the deal in the very first place. So they have some responsibility to pay it back right there. So is ludicrous. Go ahead, Leon.
No, my wife and I raised two boys. Both of them being college educated, and we paid for it. Okay, we paid for it. We had to refinance one of our homes at the time and that kind of stuff. We did all that. We paid for it. So now that they decide now to forgive, to do this thing and forgive college loans. So what about us? Are we going to get back our money too? Is this going to be forgiven? What about us?
No, they're going to come and take some of your money.
Take some of money, right? So we did, quote unquote, the right thing, and now the government is going to say, well, you should pay for the bad decisions of other people. Okay, some of these students go to school and they're learning all these so-called Asian studies, African studies, African American studies, this studies and that studies, all these kind of things that serves no purpose in the marketplace. Well, let me say very little purpose in the marketplace, and now we must pay for this damn nonsense.
Yeah,
we must pay for it.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. But we are just about out of time for the show. So I would like to thank everybody for joining. Thank you guys for being a part of the show. You can catch our shows at libertariancounterpoint.com, or you can catch us on Facebook as well, I think, at Libertarian Counterpoint. And again, if you'd like to be a part of our future shows, well, we were actually looking for people who might have experiences being locked down in COVID or affected by riots or any of that kind of stuff. Send your comments to counterpoint@libertariancounterpoint.com, and hopefully we can use that on a future show and maybe have you on as a guest as well. Thanks so much.
Bye.